think let's get going.
Cool.
5:05, let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. I am Alex Sabio, a part of Welcome Capital. We're really excited to have you here. We did close on our first hotel, 76 units in Bentonville, Arkansas last week. Really excited about that. And so we've been getting hit up a lot, like, why the heck are you guys buying hotels when everyone else is fearful? And so we kind of want to answer those questions.
Okay, everyone. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to hit present mode, which I think that means I might not see the chat anymore. So if you guys have any questions, type in the chat, and Alex or Josh, if you see any questions, you can just chime in.
Yes.
Why are we getting hotels in 2023? And basically why you should also be buying hotels with us is the topic today. These are my team members, of course, Alex and Josh, who are here with us today, myself, and Mike, who is not here with us today because he's actually at the Mark Hotel working, because we're pretty much 100% booked right now. So day one, it's been a lot. So in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of work to do until we stabilize this asset. So first we're going to talk about 5 different reasons why we like hotels, and then we're going to go into case studies of previous hotels we bought, including the 76 units that you guys may or may not have questions about. Here, if you guys have any questions about how we financed these deals, why we ended up buying those deals, you can also ask those questions then, but I'm going to try my best to address those questions as I'm doing the case studies. So first, I'm going to go over 5 main reasons why we're targeting hotels in 2023. The first one is short-term rental regulations. I know a lot of you guys probably have short-term rentals of your own, and you may or may not have analyzed deals where it would have been a really great deal, except for the fact that short-term rental regulations kind of killed the deal. So the great thing about hotels is that we don't really need to look at short-term rental regulations because we do look at short-term rental regulations because it usually benefits us. Because if we're going to a town, let's say Lake Tahoe, let's say Colorado Springs, let's say Asheville, North Carolina, there's a lot of places that would kill it with short-term rentals before they started regulating short-term rentals out of existence. And so guess what? If we buy a hotel, we by definition are carved out of short-term rental regulations, and therefore we can list this on Airbnb, we can list this on VRBO. We of course will also list it on traditional hotel platforms such as hotels.com, expedia.com, hotels tonight, etc. We can also use direct booking sites, but regardless, we're able to daily rent without fearing short-term rental regulations. So we actually like towns that have short-term rental regulations because they benefit us, and we're one of the few folks who are able to compete on the block. The other reason is everyone likes a sale, right? So the great thing about hotels is that in 2023, they are on sale right now. I was investing in short-term rentals in 2020, and everyone told me I was stupid to be buying short-term rentals in April and May of 2020 because I'm sure you guys remember a tiny little flu virus that basically turned the world upside down, so to speak. So yes, it was a crazy and scary year, but I bought so many short-term rentals that were significantly below market price that I was able to sell all of them for double what I paid for the year after, when everyone in 2021 and 2022 started jumping on the short-term rental bandwagon. So what we're looking to do right now is that we are trying to do the exact same thing with hotels, which is right now people are fearful in the market. And we're going to show you why they're also on sale in the next few slides. And a lot of people are too scared to act this year, but we are not scared. And we know as long as we run our numbers conservatively enough, that there's a lot of great deals on the market right now. And it's the time to be buying hotels. Why, do you ask, is it the time to be buying hotels aside from everyone else being fearful? It's this chart. So this is this chart basically shows can you guys read the bottom? I don't know if it's cut off or not.
No, we can read it. I mean, it says 2022, 2023, 2024.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, this is a chart of all the assets that are that have loans that are becoming due in 2022 and 2023, broken down by asset classes. As you can see, by far, hospitality, which is hotels and motels, have the most amount of maturing loans in 2022. What ended up happening is that most of these folks ended up getting an extra year extension thanks to COVID-19. So where it's 2022 originally in terms of when their note should have expired, it actually expired this year because of the COVID-19 extension. So you can see that multifamily folks, comparatively, they're sleeping a lot more easily than hospitality and office right now. So hospitality, a lot of people, their interest rates are going to double this year, which means that they may not qualify for the loan anymore because they are not operating their hotels correctly. Let's say because they're close to retirement or they're not really paying attention to their hotel. So their hotel is not really making that much money. Well, now they might not qualify because based on the 8% interest rate and a DSCR loan, their banks may not qualify them, or maybe because of the jump in interest rates, even if they qualify, they would no longer be making any money. And so it's basically forcing their hand to sell at a fire sale rate, which is why we put together this fund, because we anticipated a wave of auctions in 2023 when we started raising money. And this chart, and I'll send the links later on, but basically shows that there's a lot of hotel owners forced to sell in 2023. And because we're able to move faster than everyone else, we're able to get such a good deal. So when I posted this deal, the Benjamin deal online, a lot of people were like, there's no way that sellers will be willing to take such a haircut on their price. There's no way that you can be getting these kind of deals. Well, we're telling you why. It's because of these interest rates and because a lot of owners are not necessarily good hotel operators just because they're good real estate investors. So the third point is efficiencies of scale. And by the way, Alex and Josh, feel free to chime in whenever. This is a reason why hotels, I'm sure you guys seen a lot of those Airbnb type articles where guests are complaining about cleaning fees being like $200 and you're still being asked to take out the trash, ... So the great thing about hotels is that the average cleaner probably charges $25 to $30 something an hour for Airbnb cleanings. Well, so we're just hiring cleaners for the hotel that we just closed on, and we are paying our cleaners $15 an hour. And this is pretty typical. It's actually a little bit higher than what other cleaners are being paid in the area by other hotels. So it's very comparable to other hotels. We're not paying them less. So we're able to be a lot more competitive with hotel rooms because they're next to each other. So they're not spending a bunch of time driving between each property. They're just basically spending 30 minutes a room to clean and moving on to the next room.
Yeah, and efficiency. So I know a lot of you guys are short-term rental hosts. I currently have 6 short-term rentals myself. I don't know how many more short-term rentals one can get. I do know people that have like 50 or 70 short-term rentals, but to me, that's not what I want. I mean, I can't imagine answering all those guests. I'm sure you could build out systems and everything. But I mean, we were sharing in our text group that I think it was Friday, the hotel was 100% booked, right? But we didn't have to answer any guests. There was no guest communication. We have like the workers there dealing with all of that. So it's just a lot more efficient all under one roof. So
yeah, we have one handyman who can just come in with a list of rooms that need maintenance, and they just punch out 10 rooms in an afternoon and do maintenance on all of them. You can have breakfast, that person coming in. You have folks, just a lot more vendors that are more willing to service 70 doors at a time versus just one. And also it's just efficient to buy 70 units at once instead of just one. So as an example, like Alex said, pretty much day one after we closed, because we're buying a franchise and we're keeping the franchise brand day one and until next year, we actually have the hotel fully booked right now. So every single day we're getting a few $1,000s coming in, deposited into our account. So it's been like, even on a Wednesday it was fully booked. So I think it was like a $4,000 night or something on Wednesday. So So day one is already cash flowing. It's obviously the rates need to be adjusted upwards. So we're working with our revenue management to adjust that upwards, but for now, it's already performing. And then tax savings. Of course, this is not tax advice or anything like that. Still check with your favorite CPA, but there's a lot more tax savings because we're getting cost segregation studies for all of these assets. So even though you're going to make money on these properties, it will be pretty much offset by the cost segregation studies that we're going to do. This and then the fact that hotels are on sale this year are probably my favorite points. So not everyone is amazing at everything in real estate investing. So think of all the things that frustrate you in your real estate investing journey, things that you're good at and things you're not good at. What if you can actually outsource all the things that you're bad at by partnering up with someone who helps you in those areas? And it might not be something you're bad at. It might just be something that you're not 5 out of 5 out of, right? So the great thing about partnerships is that, for example, I can focus on just finding really, really good deals for the team. Our operation partner, Mike, he is focused all on technology. He has 20 years in technology and solving all the technical issues and glitches in terms of the PMS system, the property management system, all the different softwares that the branded hotel such as Wyndham is currently using, integrating that and then converting that to Cloudbeds, which is our independent hotel operations system. Just all those things are really, really important in a larger project. So you're not just investing in one person, you're not just investing in one person's set of skills, you're able to invest in a synergized team that have very, very different talents across the board. So that's the reason why I think hotels are even more efficient than short-term rentals, because when I was doing short-term rentals, I was the one doing the design, I was doing the setup, I was doing the acquisitions, I was doing the operations. I pretty much did everything. And I'm not necessarily amazing at every single thing on that list, right? So now we're able to kind of let folks who are best at any given role shine in that one role or two roles. So with that said, I want to hop to hotel case studies a little bit. I'm going to skip around some of these slides because we're not going to cover every single hotel deal we've done in the past. We're just going to talk about 2 of them tonight because they really tie in and illustrate some of the points that we just talked about earlier. So this hotel is in the Ozarks, and Mike and I bought this for $750K for 48 rooms. So it was a very, very cheap hotel for one of our first hotels, and it was in really good condition, but it was really ugly. And we spent about $500K on renovating it and furnishing it, and it pretty much appraised for $2 million, or it did appraise for $2 million by the bank last year. So under 8 months, we were able to push the valuation from $750K to $2 million just by renovating it. And also secondarily, because we bought it at significantly below market price, I'm sure that's where some of the bonus equity also came from. And so the great thing about this is that short-term rentals are banned in town. Eureka Springs is absolutely beautiful. It has a lot of lakes. It has a lot of mountains. It has mountain biking trails. It has really cute Victorian shops downtown. And you would think, and the real estate is really cheap, so you would think that it would be absolutely perfect for short-term rental investors to flock there. Well, apparently they flocked there too much. So the town banned short-term rentals, which meant that hotels became back in power, and all the hotels are relatively run down, which meant that by updating our hotel room, we're able to double the ADR pretty much, and we're still able to be very, very booked on the weekends right now. So you can see that we haven't renovated all the rooms yet, but the renovated rooms, the ADRs has pretty much doubled. And we haven't even headed into peak season yet, but peak season is going to look really sweet this year. So anyway, we were able to do basically a burst strategy to our hotel in less than a year and go from get a $750K of bonus equity 8 months. And so this is where my aha moment came in, and I was like, what if we did this x10 in 2023, because this is really the year that there's going to be a lot of hotels on sale. A lot of them are going to be in decent condition. They're just financially distressed and operationally distressed, both of which are really much easier to fix than the building being distressed. So what if we just focus on those kind of deals, lock down really good financing, and basically be able to borrow the deal and cash out, return that cash back to the fund in a short amount of time. And that's really key here. So that if you guys are investing with us, know that the funds, yes, on paper, we have 13 to 18% IRR for a hotel fund. But in reality, because we're doing the BRRRR method to hotels, if you guys know what the BRRRR method is, and you know that the initial capital gets returned in a short amount of time, and then the rest of and it keeps on making money after that. So
good job on that deal. That's amazing. I mean, that's pretty much a BRRRR on steroids, right? That's like because most people understand the BRRRR, but the fact that just increasing, like little tweaks that you can do to these small and mom and pop like hotels can increase the net operating income drastically, right? Like a lot of them aren't marketing on Airbnb or have a website or anything like that. So you could easily push the valuation up just with a little bit of short-term rental knowledge, right?
absolutely. And of course, a lot of it is hotel, really to fine tune and, cut some of the expenses. And we run a very lean staff at the Eureka Springs property. So we only have like two part-time and two full-time, I believe. So for 48 units. So that's a lot less than the traditional franchise model. So we're looking to kind of copy a lot of those efficiencies over to these franchise hotels in the future. So speaking of franchise hotels, this is one that we just bought. And so it was at an auction. A lot of people have asked, hey, there's no way that you bought something for 3.6 when it appraised day one for 6.5. But that's exactly what the CBRE gave us in terms of the appraisal. It's not, in 2 years appraisal value in terms of 6.5. It is today. It is worth 6.5. And when I was analyzing this deal prior to the auction, I knew that based on the market sales averages, that this hotel should be worth about north of $6 million, just based on the sales price per key. And so that's why I felt pretty comfortable bidding up to about $3.6 to $4 million on this deal. And I was basically just sitting in front of that computer bidding and bidding and bidding that day. But anyway, so the tough thing about auctions is that it's really hard to secure financing in a short amount of time. What really made this deal special is that I was able to figure out, just talk to the broker, work out a solution to where we were able to extend the closing date. It was supposed to be a 45-day closing period, but we were able to close closer to 65, 70-day closing. So that allowed us to get an amazing local bank financing terms. Everyone on the team jumped in to, submit their stuff, and we were able to get 8% interest, which I think some of you guys who are getting quoted for DSCR loans for STRs right now are probably at somewhere between 6 to 8% interest. 7 to 8% interest potentially. And so we're able to get 8% interest only for 2 years, and five more years with that locked rate. So we are assured that we are getting a lease at no more than 8% interest for the next 7 years. Of course, if the rates come down, we can always either refinance or just simply call this local bank up and ask for a rate adjustment. But locking the rate down was really, really important for us. And getting 2 years interest only was also really sweet. And the other thing was that it's cash flowing from day one. So we're already off to the races with not solidly in the black. And this is also a really great location in general. This Bentonville area is just blowing up. There is a new hospital being built. I think some of you guys might be medical professionals. So Alice Walton is funding East Eastern Medicine meets Western Medicine Hospital, as well as new medical campus in Bentonville, which I think is just super cool. And so that's being built. That will be put in service either 2024 or 2025. Meanwhile, the one of the largest employers in the world is situated 10 minutes from this hotel. So they have a lot of corporate retreats. They have a lot of vendors coming in to bid with them or work with them. So there's a lot of construction coming into Bentonville as well, funded by the Walton family. There's construction everywhere. If you come into Bentonville, it reminds me of early Austin days, and I'm an Austinite, so I know what that looks like. And there's $3 billion of $3 billion art museum, $74 million mountain bike trails, and a giant new event center as well. New music festival, art festival, etc. I can go on and on about Bentonville, but you'll just have to come visit and see for yourself. And Alex and Josh, they have already seen this place multiple times.
Yeah,
So,
I stayed in it. I stayed in it for 4 nights, and I could see, the location. You're in downtown really fast, and I saw how booked the property was. There's so many people staying there, right? And I'm like, it's just like the middle of the week, right? And not only that, there's a Starbucks like on the same exact lot, so they've already done a lot of the research. But yeah, I love the location. I'm really excited about this.
yeah, it's really a good midpoint, really, for everything. It's really close to the highway, and you can get south to the event center really fast. There's a lot of employers that's south of this hotel, and then there's, of course, Walmart to the north, and all the mountain bike trails all around it, and then the art museum to the north. So there's really just very centrally located, and so this area is only going to blow up even more in the future. So, as a summary of what our hotel fund is doing, is that so we're buying low. So, we're not just trying to buy a hotel or buy 10 hotels this year. It's I wouldn't say it's easy to buy a hotel because there's a lot of hiccups in the road that you can run into. But at this point, it's relatively easy for us to buy a hotel compared to some other operators out there because of our hotel experience. But we're not just simply trying to buy 10 hotels and be done. We're really trying to buy low, and because of the market, we're looking at deals where the seller may be financially distressed. They may be trying to sell their properties relatively quickly. They might be retiring and they're just sick of operating, and so their financials are not so great, but they're willing to cut us a really good deal in exchange. So those are the kind of deals that we're looking for in 2023. We're also looking to lock down optimal financing. So this is really, really important. So if you're analyzing other deals as a passive investors right now, and they're saying that they are taking on 12 or 24-month debt primarily as their strategy, that's something that you might want to take a second look at. Not, I think a lot of our notes we're negotiating 3+ year financing on because we want to make sure that we're out of this weird interest rate environment right now. And then another thing is diversified tourism, because if you're just focused on one source of tourism in any given destination, then it feels a little bit more risky. And therefore, the reason why we like Bentonville, for example, is that it has medical tourism, it has corporate tourism, a lot of corporate travel, it has a lot of leisure travel popping up thanks to all the mountain bike trails and music festivals and music events. And so having a lot of different sources of tourism is something that we look for and in these sort of market environments. And of course, near major growth hubs, which means that Bentonville is in itself a major growth hub in terms of Northwest Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas has been cited as one of the major regions to be watching out for in 2023. For major growth, it has been appreciating for over 20% year over year for the last few years. We're also looking near Austin and San Antonio area in terms of all the lake destinations over there. Of course, a lot of you guys know why Austin and San Antonio has been growing a lot. We're also looking near North Carolina, Western North Carolina, because it's near Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, etc., and Charlotte and Atlanta. And so all those are growing really rapidly. So we're looking at driving distances from really, really large hubs, basically. And of course, conservative underwriting. So we're underwriting at 1 to 2% cap rate higher than the current market cap rate. If that kills the deal, we don't adjust that downward. We just move on. So I've seen a lot of other hotel operators out there who will just tell, and I consult for them actually, and I help other syndicators analyze their hotel deals. And when I do this, they tell me that I'm being too conservative and Dia, knock it off, just trim down the cap rate a little bit, trim down the interest rate a little bit. Let's see what it works. You're just killing the deal, Dia. So I like to kill deals by using very conservative assumptions. And if it doesn't work at these metrics that I just put here on the bottom, then we just move on to the next deal and wait for the next deal, where even with these conservative underwriting metrics, we're still able to make the deal work. And yeah, so we are using some of the STR strategies that we've learned from short-term rentals, but I don't really want to call them the hotels. We are using staff on site still, and we're usually trying, and then we're also focusing on financially distressed assets for the most part, stuff that can be optimized relatively easily with better operations, better design, or better just leaner financial and tighter finances and etc. And of course, we're just focusing on hospitality assets this year. We're not trying to do multifamily or self-storage or any of these other things. Syndicators are doing multiple things at the same time. They may be doing all of them okay, but they're never going to be a domain expert in one thing. And so we're aiming to be the domain expert and having the most amount of information in just hospitality assets. And therefore, those who have the most information, as they say, in a war win. So not saying that this is a war in 2023, but, or maybe I am. So I've talked a lot at you guys, but Alex, you had this one slide up for, I guess this is a welcome capital link, right?
Yeah, if you guys want to get a hold of us, talk to us, or if are interested in investing with us, go ahead and scan this with your phone. I think most of you guys follow me on social media, or Dia, or one of us. You could always message us if you had any more questions or or interested in investing.
Did we have any questions?
Yeah, we should go into questions. Gabriella had a question about investing in a self-directed IRA or 401k, and yes, this is possible. So if you need a recommendation, or if you have a self-directed IRA already, then you should be good to go to talk to them and make sure that everything's good on their side. But yes, you can.
You just need the instruction from your whatever directed IRA company you have. You just need to talk to them for their instructions on investing with us.
If anyone else has any questions, go ahead and unmute yourselves or raise your hands. I'm going to go ahead and look on Facebook real quick.
Another question from Michelle just popped up saying that she loves conservative underwriting aspect. Can we speak to the exit strategies that we may have with these hotels?
Yeah, absolutely. So refinancing is one of our main, our initial sources of so-called exit, even though exit it's a little bit of a misnomer because of course we're still holding the asset, but we're able to get initial capital invested back and then some, just by doing burst strategy with our hotels. And then the second thing is that we're always looking at these with multiple lenses. So maybe we're analyzing them to see, for example, does extended stay hotel work, or should we just keep it as a franchise for a little bit longer and cash flow a little bit longer, or should we convert to boutique hotels in year 2 or 3? And then there's also a lot of different cash flow, additional revenue streams, such as event spaces and stuff like that. But in terms of going back to exit strategy as a whole, we're looking to sell to institutional buyers as a portfolio. That's a main strategy down the line. The secondary strategy is to sell to individuals that want a turnkey boutique hotel. So we'll sell 1 or 2 boutique hotels to them with the entire operation system in place already. It's actually really, for those who are not as experienced, they may not have all the technology expertise to transform a franchise hotel into a boutique hotel. There's a lot of technology glitches that might end up happening. You have to train your staff to the new way of onboarding guests. Mike is actually currently training our cleaners to a new way of housekeeping. So basically, it would just have red next to a room that needs to be clean. It will have green next to a room that doesn't need to be clean. And the simple method means that they don't have to speak English to understand this system, because a lot of housekeeping software requires them to read. So this solves the question, a very, very simple solution to a seemingly complex problem, right, of language barrier. So there's just a lot of stuff. So basically, there's going to be mom and pop hoteliers that are next generation hoteliers that are looking for boutique hotels to buy. So our secondary exit strategy is to sell to these folks. But ideally, we'll like to sell the entire portfolio to just one franchise or to one hedge fund, private equity company, etc.
Aaron's asking if we could shed some light on LP GP splits and preferred returns for the fund. Just real quick, I mean, preferred returns vary from 7 to 9% depending on how much you invest. LP versus GP. Limited partners are 70 and general partners are 30 until we trigger over 18% or 18% and more. Then it goes to 60-40 split where LP is the 60% and GP is the 40%. So it's incentive based for everyone as you make more money.
Yeah, so if you guys want more information on the splits and etc., you can just scan this QR code. So someone had a question about where the QR code is going to. It's going to, for more information on our fund. There's a YouTube video as well to talk more about the Welcome Fund in general. Tonight, we're mostly just focusing on why we are buying hotels in 2023. So we didn't talk about the granular details of our fund. If this piqued your interest, to where you want to learn more about our funds and how our offerings are for your LPs, then you can go ahead and watch the YouTube video as well as the offering documents. You can also find that in the QR code or in the links contained in the QR code.
We actually have a live question. Hamilton is raising his hand, so you want to unmute and ask?
Just a quick question. If we ever find a mom and pop hotel owner who's looking to sell, or is there ways for us to partner with you guys in that regard? Say if we, in the areas that you're looking to buy in?
We are open to taking, giving a wholesale fee or a finder's fee, but because hotels live and die by the operations, if we don't know the operator, we're not comfortable with partnering with them.
Another question from Luke. What tools are you using to run your numbers and performance?
In terms of data source, we're using CoStar reports and STR reports. So CoStar is a commercial data set, costs I think $1,000 a month or so to get. And then in terms of tools, I build my own calculator. So there's not really a robust hotel analysis calculator out there just sitting for people to use. So, I mean, most of the calculators that you can find floating around online are going to be for not for hotels, for multifamily. So I basically had to build my own calculator when I was starting out based on multifamily calculators, based on hotel analysis, just concepts based on what I see in commercial appraisal reports. So I read all these 200-page commercial reports by hotel appraisers and seeing how they appraise hotels and basically refine my calculators based on those reports constantly. So it's a living document that I'm constantly revising based on my conversations with appraisers, with hotel lenders, and etc. So my goal is to be as close to how hotel lenders and hotel appraisers underwrite hotels as possible. What is your lead generation strategy? We are always looking on the MLS, but we're also always talking to hotel brokers as well as wholesalers, as well as I have a hotel mastermind, so some folks are door knocking as well or cold calling folks. And then I'm also looking at different pulling off-market data lists for ourselves so that we can do our own off-market campaign as well, so that we can find some of these sellers before they're they're going to start listing or approaching sellers brokers as pocket listings. So one thing that's a really good question that jots my memory for is that 90% of really great deals are not for hotels are not going to be on the MLS because they're living businesses. So they have employees that the owners don't necessarily want them to know that the hotel's for sale. So that by the time that you see a hotel on for sale on the MLS, it's already been rejected by at least 10 other hotel owners in the area that the hotel broker has called. So if you are just dabbling in hotel investing, then you're going to have much less information than we have, which is kind of why I highly suggest you partner with folks who are already doing this because starting out, you are starting out with a lot less information than someone who's focused on hotels. And that's also why we only focus on hotels and not also self-storage, also multifamily, also. What cap rates are you aiming for is one of the questions. Are those based on a blend of your projection or an actual data or solely based on data? So we don't ever, or solely based on data provided by the seller. I don't look at the data provided by the seller because they're usually inaccurate. So unless they're actual tax returns, I don't look at the data because they can fudge those data. They can do whatever they want. Some of those cap rates on CoStar that are listed, some of those cap rates that are listed on LoopNet or Crexi or some of these MLS sites, they're based on erroneous assumptions. So we're not using those for underwriting. When I'm talking about cap rates in the future, I'm talking about what CoStar has for the current market. Let's say CoStar has for Bentonville, Arkansas, for hotels is, let's say, currently 8.5%. So I will basically take that and I will assume that at exit, the cap rate is going to increase by 1%, which basically means the valuation drops at exit. And so I will assume that the exit cap rate is going to be more like 9.5. And the reason I assume that right now is because cap rates go up as interest rates go up. So yes, I'm actually being more conservative than the actual data provided by CoStar right now, because CoStar also lags behind about 8 to 12 months because they're the aggregate data of the last 12 months, right? So you do want to be a lot more conservative than what the CoStar reports are currently saying about the market.
We have another live question. John Clark, and I think John is from the area, right?
Yeah, I live in Bentonville. I do have a quick question though on, and yes, everybody should invest in short terms here. But I do have a quick question on which are you thinking you're only going to be looking at existing hotels, or are you also going to look at properties that could be converted to a hotel, like an apartment complex or something like that can be converted into like a boutique hotel?
In terms of the amount of paying versus the amount of rewards, we prefer hotels because multifamilies don't always easily convert to hotels. So you have to deal with the city, and that could take years, sometimes in certain instances, depending on the market, to change the zoning, etc. And that's not a sure guarantee thing either. You might have to add additional safety compliance things to the building in order for it to qualify as a hotel motel. You might have to add ADA compliant rooms. You might also have to phase tenants out, and you might have to wait for all tenants to vacate the building before you're able to start renovating. So meanwhile, you're paying your debt, your mortgage, and you're pretty much not making that much money. So unless it is a really killer deal, we're probably not going to do it. It's not as easy as just taking a hotel and just running it better and putting it on, better sites, having better marketing in place, better teams in place, better technology in place. And then next year it doubles in revenue, but this year is still making money.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the real difficult part, is the existing tenant base that's there, right? Getting the other tenants out there while you're still, let's say if you have a couple units that are open already and then you start using those as short term, but 80% of the other units are all long term. It's just not a really good mix.
Yeah, and those ADA compliant rooms are really important in a lot of towns too. So getting those in, that's built-in renovation that you have to do. So it just ends up being kind of a pain in the butt. And cities are kind of opposed to converting permanent residences into hospitality for the most part. Someone saying, what markets are you pursuing in 2023? I'm open to any market that cash flows, but we kind of gave you some of the things that we're looking at in terms of that slide where we're talking about 2 to 3 hours driving distance from major metros and multiple sources of tourism. It might already have STR regulations in place, but it would have been a killer market for short-term rentals, except their short-term rental regulations. So that should give you some hint in terms of markets that we're heavily focusing on. But we're always open to new markets, and I'm actually traveling in the next few weeks to a few more markets I've never been to before to look at some deals that have stellar numbers. I'm really, really excited to talk about it once we get them under contract. I can't say too much beyond that right now. So someone has a question about number of rooms, ADR, average occupancy, etc. So I'm assuming you're talking about the current occupancy and ADR. I don't know off the top of my, I think the ADR is pretty low right now relative to the market average ADR for Benton Mill, but it's 76 rooms. And I believe the market average is about 60 something percent occupancy for hotels in general, not that hotel in specific. The actual occupancy for that last year was and ADR was a little bit lower than market average. But this year it's already killing it, and it's projected to get about $1.4 million gross without us doing anything to it.
Yeah, I think the RevPAR was like $40, right, Dia?
Yeah, it was pretty low.
Extremely low.
Yeah, for relative to the market.
And the market average was around 60. So just even if we performed average, getting it back up, like that's a 33% jump in revenues. I think that's all the questions. If anyone else has anything, no other Facebook questions here, so.
Cool. So if you guys have any, I guess, oh, Alex, you already linked it, right? The QR code and etc. Oh, someone has one more question, I guess.
Yep, just a quick follow-up on my previous question. I know as someone looking to wholesale, would there be a way for us to get you more comfortable with the operator? You know, just looking for your opinion.
Can you clarify what you mean?
Yep, say if we were, because I heard you mention like North Carolina, Charlotte, because basically I'm looking at land in Mecklenburg County, but you know, based on what you're saying with your business model, it sounds interesting. So basically I was asking is there a way as a wholesaler for us to get you more comfortable with the operator? You know, say if I found a hotel that you might have interest in, like is there any financials I should get to show you or something, like, you know, does that make sense?
Do you have other hotels already?
No, I'm just saying in general, because I primarily looked at with land, but based on, you know, just based on what you're saying with hotels and stuff, it was sounding interesting. So like, is there, to kind of clear cut what I'm trying to get at, is there anything for a wholesaler to do to get you more comfortable with the numbers and operations that you might have interest in?
Oh, I see. I guess it's really hard to say. It's normally, I would say the age of the building is really important. So if it's a newer building, it's going to be a little bit more interesting. If it's in a really good location, it's going to be more interesting than if it's a seedy area, because we can never change the location. So we're not really looking for highway hotels or roadside hotels or anything like that. We're looking for things that are maybe a really ugly hotel. I would say, okay, so my slogan right now is we buy ugly hotels in beautiful locations. So that should be easy enough for you to remember. The location has to be really beautiful and really good. It's just an ugly hotel. And ideally it's ugly, but it's not dilapidated. So it's, you know, it's not falling. There's a lot of roach motels out there where there's 30 years of deferred maintenance on the building, and you don't know if the plumbing is all cracked or electrical is a fire hazard and all those kind of things. Those are not usually the buildings that are going to be inexpensive to renovate. So those are not, in terms of financials, yes, we'd look at financials, but we're always open to stuff that has relatively poor financials. It's just, if it's going to be poor financials, we also need to have a conversation with the seller in terms of whether they're willing to sell or finance or not.
I think that's it. No more questions?
That's all the questions, right? So Alex made this amazing link hub that basically has all the links for Welcome Capital.
yeah, it brings us to our website. There's some videos there about the, we've gotten a lot of questions about the 76 unit hotel. So I have a small playlist there with some videos to, if you guys want to check out those videos. And this is something, like we're getting a lot of questions about hotels. So one of the things we've been floating around is just having more meetups like this. We're thinking every other week with hotel focused meetups, right? There's a lot of short-term rental ones, multifamily ones, but there's really not a lot of hotel meetups. So we're thinking about bringing experts on and other people that have hotels. So yeah, we'll just keep following up with us. I'll be posting more events here in the near future.